Hey, Mark. Well, hey, appreciate you joining DevSecOps, the good, the bad, the ugly.
Thank you, Zach. Always good to see you.
Likewise, Mark and Mark, I remember when I first started with Sonatype, just how much you coached me and helped me out with my LinkedIn page and all that.
Well, I think the break-in time was really that event in Chicago. That was a fun
Yeah,
time.
that was whenever my wife ended up going into labor and I had to run home. So, but no, Mark, the reason why I wanted to bring you on, I know that you lead All Day DevOps, which I've been a huge fan of, and I've been trying to support whenever I can. So just wanted to give you an opportunity to tell about what's coming up here soon.
Yeah, thanks, Zach. As you know, we are in a situation that is historical as far as everybody being locked down at home. We're trying to
Yeah.
figure out different ways that we can help support people at home and what
Yep.
we could be doing. So
Yep.
one of those things is to actually do a surprise spring break edition of All Day DevOps. We usually only do
Awesome.
these in November, but this
Yeah.
year, April 17th, we're going to do a 10-hour version with 28 speakers and 3 keynotes for All Day DevOps.
Wow. That's awesome. Mark, for those that don't know about All Day DevOps and how successful it is, can you give them a brief overview of kind of what you guys did when you started and where it was at last year?
Sure. Derek Weeks and I brainstormed this in 2016. And what we did, we actually went to a whiteboard. And in 3 hours, we laid out the idea of what we wanted to do with All Day DevOps. And we went back to Sonatype and said, look, we need some resources and we're going to do this event and we think we'll get 1,000 or 1,500 people. Well,
Right.
Zach, the short form of that is 90 days later from that whiteboard, we had 13,400 people show. This
That's
is
awesome.
a live online conference. It has grown yearly. Last year, we had north of 37,000 people registered for the event.
That's
This,
amazing.
this
Yeah.
November 12th, we are actually anticipating over 50,000 people because it's our
Wow.
5th anniversary. And we're going to throw a
Right.
big party. And you're going to be part of that, by the way, right?
I will be. Yeah, absolutely. I'll be volunteering all the way into the wee hours of the night. So,
You know, the way this started too, Zach, is when you think about Derek and I travel internationally a lot as speakers. And one of the things that we both agreed on was we have some incredible conversations. I mean, you've been out in the field, you know what it's like to be
yep.
working at a conference and really have an incredible conversation with somebody. And
Absolutely.
we just said, how can we bring this? How can we go to Istanbul and meet Hassan and Arafat, not just have a personal conversation, but how can we bring that to everybody else? I mean, I
Right.
spoke in Moscow last year. I've spoken in London numerous times, in Singapore, just around the world. So Derek's got the same type of travel schedule. And we said, the best way to do this is to do it online. Let's get the people that we know, that we respect, that we admire, and have them come and talk. And that was the start of All Day DevOps.
Right. And another thing too, Mark, that I remember you always talking about is the fact that it's a way for organizations that can't afford to send to everybody as well, right? They can get on and sign everybody up for free and take part where typically they can't afford to maybe send 50 people to one of these conferences as
Well, they
well.
can't even afford to send 3 people to one of these conferences.
Right.
When you think of
Right.
the
Right.
conference fee being north sometimes of $1,500, $2,000 per ticket, when you think about the travel expenses, when you think about the budget for having a hotel and food, if you're going to a 3-day conference, you're talking about spending $5,000 a person.
Right.
So you're right.
Yep.
Part of this is the educational aspect that we can help companies, large enterprises, scale their educational platform by participating in All Day DevOps.
Absolutely. So how do companies participate and what types of
Hmm.
tracks will you have for people to tune into?
Well, let's remind everybody we're talking about 2 events now. So that I'd like to talk about the April 17th event, but keeping
Yep.
in mind that the massive event is on November 12th. Let's just be clear.
Perfect. Right.
There are several ways. Like Ross Clanton, when he was at Verizon, he would actually close down the dojos, the training centers at Verizon around the world, and open those up as all-day DevOps viewing parties. And so his
Okay.
teams could go in there, view specific sessions, and then actually talk about the sessions after they ended. That's a
Right.
fantastic way to have a real-time party going on. You bring food, bring a little bit of beverages, you come in there, and everybody sees the sessions that you want. Somebody
Yep.
like State Farm, Kevin Odell is my hero. That guy had 6,000 people register from State Farm to
Wow.
watch all day
Yeah.
DevOps. So if you make this not just a small team event, but if you make it an enterprise event, if you make it a company-wide event, it allows you guys to pick and choose topics that are of interest that can make a difference once you walk away from the session. Zach, the thing that I want to be clear of is it doesn't mean it's no good to be passive about this, just to sit and watch like it's a TV show. What
Right.
you've got to find a way is to make sure that you're walking away with a checklist. I want to do this tomorrow. That's when you get value from these sessions.
Yeah. And I remember the team from State Farm actually walked through last year of how they got everybody together. If you wouldn't mind being able to post that video in here where people that are looking at how to do that, because when we look at DevOps and DevSecOps and the people that I'm interviewing, it's all coming down to culture. As much as a sales guy like myself, we want to think of tooling and you know, things that we would need to put into the pipeline. It really comes down to how are we educating people and how are we driving that cultural transformation, which I think what you guys are doing is absolutely amazing. So I know that's a good story.
I did have a podcast with Kevin that is called How to Get 4,000 People to Attend a Conference, kind of thing.
Perfect.
So that's already up. We'll use that as a resource and a link to the article that
would be great. Yep. Perfect. All right, Mark. Well, I'm looking forward to tuning in and maybe even being able to help out any way I can.
Oh, I'm counting on you and Nate and Katie as being moderators this time.
You got it. I'm up for it. So, well, thanks, Mark, and looking forward to tuning in. Okay.
Great. Thank you. April 17th, please.